Surgeons of Reddit, what's the weirdest object you've had to remove from someone's butt? I'm a vet. Dog had eaten a whole roll of poop bags. The plastic bag is people use to clean up after their pets on walks. They unspooled in his gut and spread from stomach to colon. His owners realized what had happened when he started pooping out bags and brought him in through her. My coworker went in to cut him, and the scene she described was hilarious. He would intermittently strain a little and poop out a little section of bags. Someone would tear them off, and he'd be okay for a bit, then poop out some more, like he was dispensing them for himself. He did great after surgery. Was this a Labrador Retriever? Sounds like lab level idiocy. He was just trying to please his owner by pre-bagging his own shit. Sure was. Endotech here. Had a guy come in with a capped section of PVC pipe filled with mercury because he liked the sloshing when he jerk in his turkin. Had to call in hazmat and security had to be called when he became violent because they wouldn't give the mercury laden pipe back. And mercury was important for the experience for some reason. Incredibly dense liquid makes for some good sloshing. Shit man, just stick some custard up there. Years ago my nurse wife told me a man had an apple removed from his butt, but I never understood how this could be possible. I often think about this, but I've never asked her for more details. I'll ask her over the table at Christmas dinner tonight. Oh, you can safely get things bigger than an apple in an anus. Your rectum is pretty stretchy if you go slow. Yeah, you gotta train for it though. You can't get anything sizable up your ass if you haven't done it before. A nurse. I've seen baseballs, loads of dildos, cans of soda, vegetables. There should be a public service announcement about using dildos in the bum. It needs to have balls or some sort of base so it doesn't get lost up there. Women's vaginal dildos don't need them, as there is only so far it will go. A doctor I worked with once told a man, it's okay if you want to put things in your rectum. You just have to use the right things. Without a base, without a trace. If you like it, then you shoulder put a string on it. A enormous silicone butt plug which broke off at its base inside the patient. It was shaped like a soft cone on a stalk, with the base at the bottom. Had to remove it in pieces. Also, an orang in a bottle 2 years before this butt plug. Would you have grounds for compensation/suing if a sex toy broke like that? I'm not gonna buy a butt plug, rip the base off, and pop it up me bum, but I do wonder. I'm imagining this happening between a couple, and the first moments and facial expressions of the plugger and the pluggee, the latter staring at the plugless base in their hand. Back when I was an tech, we had this guy come in with a full-size bottle of O5 shampoo up his butt. Of course he said he fell on it in the shower. You could clearly see it on the x-ray. It was pretty spectacular. The best part was he knew exactly what needed to be done to get it out, suggesting that this wasn't the first time. He asked for conscious sedation and for someone to pull it out. Well, the doctor tried that, then tried to manually get it out with forceps, and was essentially elbow deep in this dude, but couldn't get it. He had to go to the operating room to get it taken out. I bumped into the surgeon a few days later and asked him how it went. He joked to me that after we knocked him out, I grabbed a plunger out of the bathroom and got it out that way, but then told me all he had to do was stick some suction up there till he felt it connect and then slowly pulled it out. According to the surgeon, this guy never presented any sort of identification or insurance card and demanded to pay his entire bill before he left. Usually takes some time for bills to get finalized. He paid it completely in cash and then left via a taxi. When I worked in the air, we had a guy come in with a 6-battery Maglite stuck up Main Street. The funny part is that it was inserted bulb out and it was turned on. So we laid him down prone and the doc spread his cheeks. Then the room lit up like he just cracked open Marcellus Wallace's briefcase. I suppose the light does shine down there. Edit. Merry Christmas to me with that gold. I'd be more interested in what non-medical people have had to help people remove from their butts. My cat swallowed dental floss, and I had to pull it out of her ass. I'm not a medical professional, just a grossed out lady with a new lidded trash bin. Edit. At the risk of repeating everyone else commenting, don't pull things out of butts. Cut it off section by section, unless there's zero resistance. Or just go to a vet, especially if there's blood, or your pet is really uncomfortable. Oh man. When our husky was little he ate one of my wife's thongs. I had to pull it out of his butt. Not butt, but once my grandmother, a lifelong alcoholic, forgot she had a tampon in and inserted another, jamming the first one up incredibly far. She tried to get my poor grandfather, a man with zero training, to remove it. Even with a flashlight and tweezers, he couldn't do it. They went to the doctor said my grandfather futzing around her bag had caused extra unnecessary trauma. I know this because toward the end of her life, she had dementia, and she told us all sorts of weird shit. She told this particular story in a fancy restaurant in front of most of our family and a mortified waiter. R.I.P. Grandma. I miss your insane stories. One time I was changing my son's diaper because he pooped. I was wiping his butt and noticed a hair sticking out of his butthole, so I'm already like wanting to die because I have to pull this hair out of my kid's ass. So anyways, I'm pulling this long ass hair out, and as I get the last of it out, I realize that it is wrapped around a basically undigested green bean. So yeah, non-medical person here, but pulling a green bean wrapped around a hair out on my kid's ass was definitely the worst. Almost lost it. Still traumatized. Edit. Not even ashamed that my most upvoted comment is about pulling a green bean hair out of my kid's butt. Thanks for the gold and silver Merry Christmas to everyone reading this thread about weird ass stuff. A friend of mine is a surgery resident, and during one of her trauma shifts a meth head walked in with an incandescent light bulb in his colon. It was shoved in with a wide part first. They were dilating the rectum in an attempt to remove it, and the resident in charge of the procedure managed to accidentally separate the metal base from the glass globe, which immediately shattered under the pressure of the colon. They had to perform a partial colectomy to resolve the complication. Meth is a hell of a drug. A foreign body rectum is a fairly common occurrence. In my time rotating in the air, the most common things have been yucca roots, avocados, shampoo bottles, etc. But that light bulb story is still unmatched. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen this ray. Not me, but a good friend I have known since 6th grade who is an emergency room drive. Straight couple in their early 20s, and they were using a vibrator on her. They switch. He said it was his first time, and they had lube everywhere, and the slim 6-inch vibrator disappeared all the way up in him while it was still on. They waited and tried to get it out on their own and finally went into the They were going to wait till the batteries died, but it was getting late. My buddy tried to get it out, but couldn't get it. He told the guy they might have to do surgery to get it. The guy asks my buddy if he has to go, and can he call his mom and tell her. My buddy laughs and says you are 22 and you get to call your mom to tell her you have a buzzing vibrator in your ass that might be perforating your colon. Then my buddy remembers a guy he went to medical school who works in the same hospital. He has freaky long thin fingers like it that might work. The other doctor gloves up and gets the vibrator still buzzing out of him. Just a FYI, it is really easy for this to happen. So limit the lube on your hands. Your colon gets like a suction on it and things go in easy like what happened to these guys. Edited sub vibrator where dildo was. Not a surgeon, but wowie do I know a lot of cases involving falling on things and other such excuses. Here are just some of the things I know. A Buzz Lightyear action figure, a Barbie doll, plaster of Paris. They wanted a mold of his colon. Instead, it had to be cut open as it was glued shut by the plaster. Glasses, the sight kind. Jewelry, mostly necklaces. A cucumber which, after proclaiming he fell over in the garden naked and landed on his cucumber patch, still had the Tesco wrapper on it. A light bulb. Finally, on a rather dark note, if you're a fool who slipped something up their black hole, cause the bud sucks things in disturbingly well. They can't retrieve, please. For the love of God, go to your doctor. People have died due to toxic shock due to this shit. A guy here died of it in 2 weeks due doctor having a dildo stuck up there and never went to his docs. Your pride can recover, but you can't recover from death. We received a patient with horrible pain that felt like constipation. He couldn't poop, and laxatives weren't helping. We soon found out that the blockage wasn't just constipation. It was a string of beads several meters long that had become tangled into an ugly ball inside. I had to snip it apart and carefully pull pieces of it out. When most of it was out, his asshole became a rocket engine with diarrhea as the propellant. Does this mean you are a rocket surgeon now? Please doc, you gotta help me. Something's wrong with me, but I'm sure the dozen of anal beads I crammed up my ass has nothing to do with it. Always avoid telling your doctor something embarrassing, so they have to run a bunch of possibly invasive tests, only to discover it on their own. But hey, chicks dig scars. I was an RN at a busy Detroit emergency department. A homeless woman, frequent flyer and drug abuser came in to see us with abdominal pain. The X-ray revealed 17 oval-shaped objects in her vaginal space. They were removed by a very diligent medical resident armed with a speculum and McGill forceps, with the aid of an ultrasound tech. 17 Barbie doll heads. Their removal was made a bit easier by their long hair. Edit. Former co-worker saw my post. Small world. Reminded me of the man with the small fluorescent bulb in his rectum. He insisted on the doctor in the ER just pulling it out and sending him on his way. But those bulbs break very easily, lacerated colon, and are full of toxic chemicals, poisoning. Surgical removal was recommended, but he flatly refused, because hey, what would he tell his wife? He signed out AMA, and we never saw him again.